and the world and its current state is calling you to rise to a higher level of responsibility. It is up to you to answer the call or not. But I'll tell you what, until we get a significant component, a majority of men in this society answering that call and becoming the divine resonators, becoming the Christ figures, and following in that divine lead, it's not going to get better, right? But luckily, that transition is happening. People are waking up. Hashtag dark to light, my brothers. Hello everybody, I'm Mango Thunderslice, and today we're talking about how to be a man in crazy Jeffrey Epstein-Suicide-Clown-World, right? Rather than talk about what everybody else is talking about, obviously, some very disappointing news happened over the weekend. We found out that Jeffrey Epstein, who we all thought was on 24/7 suicide watch, apparently was not on suicide watch. He was taken off literally the day that he supposedly killed himself, and at the same time, the guards, who are apparently not proper prison guards, both fell asleep for 3 hours and then falsified their records and basically supposedly slept through Jeffrey Epstein using his sheet on his bed to tilt his bed up and hang from the bed. He's 6 foot tall guy, so apparently he had to lift his legs, exhibiting, in this narrative, the most supreme act of self-discipline, almost Japanese samurai harikari style. But at the same time, there's also now reports coming out that there was screaming in and around his cell that morning. Pretty odd for a guy who, basically is supposed to have such discipline that he could lift his legs and hold them there in order to asphyxiate himself while hanging. And now the autopsy is saying that there were broken bones in his neck. And, normally when people get hanged, like from a rope, and they fall, right, that normally snaps their neck. When you hang yourself and there's not that drop, typically won't break the neck bones. But, so there's about several dozen completely ridiculous aspects to this story. Everybody with half a brain knows that it is a lie. We are being fed a completely BS narrative to cover up for the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered. Most likely at this point, that is obviously the case. Even if he was, up until we find out that his neck was broken, I suppose it was plausible that, it could have been provided. Somebody could have slipped something in there that assisted him in taking his own life. But with the broken bones in his neck and the situation of that special housing unit, there's simply no way for any of that to be as it stands, right? And it'll be very interesting when we finally find out the name of the prison psychologist who decided to take him off of suicide watch on a Saturday, literally the day that he supposedly killed himself. So it's a very, very strange state of affairs, and we can all wallow in pity and cynicism and all be, give each other black pills if that's what we want to do, but that's not my style. I'm a gold pill, so I'm going to return it back to the source, which is we are creating a society. Well, first let me say that Jeffrey Epstein, there's certain people like Jack Posobiec who are like, the head of a child sex trafficking ring was just suicided, blah, blah, blah. I was like, Jack, do you think that Jeffrey Epstein was the head of this thing? Like, how dumb do you have to be to think that this guy was like the kingpin of this? Jeffrey Epstein was a functionary and resonator of a system, an elite system of, basically blackmail, control, Satanism, right? And there's occult ritual aspects to it that are extremely hideous regarding things like adrenochrome and cannibalism. And, basically, we're far into the apocalypse process when you see hashtag red shoes trending on Twitter. Basically, people are starting to notice that, Bill Maher, I guess, was seen wearing these special type of red shoes. There's a picture of Tony Anthony Podesta and all of his associates wearing red shoes. We just saw that there was a portrait in Jeffrey Epstein's mansion of Bill Clinton wearing like a blue dress a la Monica Lewinsky, as well as red high heel shoes. And people are speculating that these red shoes are made out of like human skin and whatnot. You know, I can't verify all that, but the symbology definitely exists. You know, whether or not anybody can confirm the shoes are made out of human skin, I guess we'll leave that to the future unveilings. But the sheer fact that it even got to trending and that people are noticing these weird occult symbolic connections indicates to you that we are far along the process. But in order to complete the job, in order to vanquish evil from this planet and create a society where people aren't, you know, I don't know, cultivated into, you know, sex trafficking rings, and people aren't so dumb and lobotomized to let that happen and disbelieve others when they bring you the evidence, right? There's been evidence of all these things for decades. We're talking about the Franklin scandal, we're talking about Jimmy Savile, we're talking about, you know, I mean, there's so many different aspects and instances of these revelations that, you know, too many to name. And what the problem has been is that people are unwilling to believe it because it's too uncomfortable to their little Disneyland jelly bean worldview, right? So we need, in order to fix this situation, not just in an instance situation, even if Jeffrey Epstein, you know, was the head of it, it's not like his death would end the thing, right? There would be a successor. There would be, you know, just like take it down, El Chapo didn't take down the cartels, right? It doesn't work that way. It's a system, and you need to take down the system, and that requires a metaphysical approach, a strategic approach. You know, it's not just about putting somebody in jail. We need to create a society where people are mentally strong and mentally fit, and not just mentally, but emotionally and spiritually and physically fit, and basically are capable of responding to any situation, not with fear, not with denial, not with pseudo-skepticism, right? Not with a person who looks to Snopes to confirm their own brainwashing, right? I mean, we need people that are capable of being conscious and aware and alive. And in order to do that, you know, we need to basically raise children that are strong and have a foundation on which to build, you know, a life for themselves, and they can basically take care of others because they have that surplus of energy. Right, it's like cells in the body. A free radical, right, is a communist running around in the body just setting fire to buildings, right? That's what a free radical is in a micro sense. In a macro sense, it is also the same, right? So you have people going and shooting up immigration and customs enforcement facilities, right? Those are the free radicals in a macro sense. On the other hand, you know, basically there are cells within the body. Some cells just do their own job. You know, they're just powered up sufficiently to do their own job. Other cells are super powered, and they are the ones that go and basically regulate and maintain the entire homeostasis of the body, right? The white blood cells, you know, basically these are the people in our society on the macro sense who have the excess energy to give to this world, to make it a better place, to build something new with each and every day. That's what a man does in any culture, not just in America, not just in Europe and Africa, everywhere in the world the metaphysics are the same. The divine masculine entails consciousness, awareness, courage, and preparedness to act on anything that presents itself. That is what being a man means. And, you know, when men are strong, women will naturally look to, you know, fulfill their divine feminine role. They will want to be providers. They will want to be with that strong man and create that life, you know, basically, you know, following his lead. Because in the proper sense, a woman, even a high-powered, super feminist, you know, corporate leader, feminist, right? It's simple biological fact that even if she's able to match an equivalently trained and qualified man in that leadership position, the studies show that she will not enjoy it as much. And she, you know, basically the psychological toll on women for engaging in high stress, high combative positions is much greater than for men. For men, it's our nature, right? It's our nature to fight and to argue and to push and to pull and to you know, carve ourselves in that friction against the will of other people.
And for men, we actually we get joy out of it. I like to I'm not like an aggressive person, but I like to make my will manifest. And it's fun to me when people push back. Right? Give me a fight. I don't want everything to be easy. That's the mentality of a man. But for a woman, if she is to take on those masculine characteristics, she will, by definition, sacrifice the things that make her, a woman in the divine sense, the divine feminine. You cannot have maternal aspects and also be a dominator. It just doesn't work. It's like trying to push and pull at the same time. It's one or the other, right? And in a proper divine union of the man and the woman, right, they are in their specialization. They are, the man is taking care of the conquest of challenges and enacting their will to provide for their family. And the woman is utilizing basically her full emotional capacity. It's not like women are just emotional, but in general, anybody who's being honest will acknowledge that men in their divine aspect are logical beings. They're resonating with the logos. And women basically are generally have more emotional intelligence than men. And that's a good thing. It's how it's supposed to be. When we flip the roles, we have women who not only are less competent than an equivalent male, not only do they sacrifice their maternal aspect, right? But it's we basically are ending our entire culture when men are effeminate and basically can't respond to any stressful situation without getting triggered, and screaming and lashing out, right? Being emotional, right? Beta male men, as Jesse Lee Peterson likes to say, right, who have the minds of women. That's not to say that they're mentally weak per se. It's just to say that they're governed by emotion, right? And that is not the proper state for a man to be in. A man should be governed by logic, right? So by default, every liberal man, every leftist man is, pretty much has the mind of a woman, is governed by emotion, right? Because there's no logic behind the leftist positions. There's no logic behind the liberal sensibilities. There's just a feeling, right? And for women, that's, it's more understandable. For men, basically, they have to be sort of a beta male to even think that any of these ideas are even halfway sensible. But of course, they're not going on logic. They're saying these things because the women around them like it, and they think that, it's going to make people feel good, and that's why we should say it. Nope, sorry, you're not a man, and you need to correct that aspect of yourself if you're ever going to, claim that title legitimately. Similarly with women, right, I can't even watch movies anymore. I like to watch movies, but it's just like so painful now, right? Between Captain Marvel and the Avengers thing, like she's the most bland, pointless character, and yet she's propped up as literally more powerful than the entire rest of the Avengers suite, right? In the final battle against Thanos, the ultimate enemy, right? All of them are losing, and then she just comes in and basically saves the day for everyone. She's got no emotional development as a character. She's just like all powerful and just like kind of a bitch, and basically looks down on men for thinking that they can be strong, right? It's just the worst character ever designed, right? And you go from that over. I was just watching, like, I think it was a Netflix TV series that they just made, right? And Netflix, every single show, every single movie's got to have at least a dozen gays, at least 2 or 3 trannies, right? No, definitely not a single white man who's actually ethical and strong. We cannot have any of those archetypes surface in the media, right? The only white man that's even permitted has to be an effeminate, basically, or an evildoer, like a villainous type person. It's so pathetic. I have to only watch old movies because they're the only ones that still are tolerable. And the program's been around, but I could kind of ignore it before. It wasn't like the volume was 4 or 5. Now it's like this one goes to 11, as this is Spinal Tap says. Right? It's seriously, it's set to 11 or 12 now. This TV show I was watching, I couldn't even finish the first episode. It was called A New Life or something. I don't know. It's a sci-fi, and most sci-fi is pretty bad, but I kind of dig it sometimes when I'm in that mood. And basically I could tolerate the B or C rated sci-fi movies, but this was so bad. It's like this effeminate scientist husband. This alien craft comes down to Earth and buries itself in the Earth and whatnot. And basically, Earth is like a spacefaring, species and whatnot. Humanity is. And basically, there's this strong woman who goes to be the commander of the spaceship while her effeminate scientist husband stays at home. And so, all right, fair enough. She gets onto the ship, and she just, like, right from the get-go is making all these horrible, like, calls as commander of the ship, and, basically trying to lead by emotional sensitivity and asking her crew how they feel, who feels awkward about the fact that they may get killed by the aliens or that they're going around a black hole. It's like, this is the dumbest writing I've ever seen. Again, you're conflating the two things. You're trying to have the strong feminist woman, but also trying to have her exhibit some maternal feminine qualities. It doesn't work. What you get is just an incompetent, idiotic character, which she was. And basically, the crew is like 70% women. There's a tranny on the crew. It's like, what is going on here? These people would crash the ship before they even got into low Earth orbit. This is the most ridiculous idea of a space crew I've ever seen, even in fiction. Zoolander is more believable. Actually, now with all the MK Ultra programmed shootings, we realize Zoolander was a non-fiction movie. Anyway, sidebar. Basically, it's, men have got to realize that, it's not just about playing video games and calling out the feminist that's going to fix this thing. You have to embody the actual archetype of a man. You have to basically not just keep your options open in this adolescent delusion of, oh yeah, I'm going to have all the women. No, you don't get to have all the women. You get to have one, okay? Monogamy is the only proper divine aspect of relationships. This whole millennial fascination with free love and open relationships, it's garbage. What you result in is a whole swath of just emotionally devastated people. Women cannot have sex with multiple men and not become emotionally attached unless she's a total psychopath. And again, that's part of what the feminist program is trying to get them to be, is total psychopaths. Combine that with the birth control, which literally hormonally alters the person and makes their body think that they are pregnant, right? That's how the birth control works. You don't get pregnant because your body already thinks you are. But what they don't often talk about is that the brain of a pregnant woman works different than the brain of a non-pregnant woman. You're looking for different aspects in men, right? And basically by just hormonally altering an entire generation of women, we've helped to chemically, support that media program of just inverting the gender roles, inverting the responsibilities, right? You put, that birth control is also getting peed out into the water supply, and men and women alike and children are drinking it, and it's altering their hormones, right? We've got plastic that people microwave in total ignorance, and there's BPA, which is basically a hormone mimicker that gets into people's food. And so you got all these fat little, boys with man boobs, and their voices are all high-pitched. I mean, after they go through puberty. Obviously, I know what puberty is. But, I mean, you got all these effeminate video game-playing little turds, like with man boobs, talking about how they're strong feminist allies, right? They don't exercise, they don't go outside, they don't have any real career ambitions. And, the reason I'm bringing all this forward is because I've spent plenty of my life in a morally rudderless state, not knowing what I wanted to do, just trying to entertain this culture and kind of have fun within it. But life, ultimately, without a purpose, without a meaning, does not give joy. It does not give pleasure. Pleasure is meaningless without a guiding function, without a coherent mission on this planet. Once you have established your principles and established your mission, it's very easy to make decisions without a whole lot of anxiety and self-conflict. It's very easy to proceed forward in courage and confidence and basically make your case and, ask for what is yours, demand what is yours, right? It's very easy to rise up in this society when you are honest with yourself and honest with other people, and you don't have this, self-defeating, anxiety, liberal, leftist program that makes you think you're evil, your people are evil, you can't have an ego, otherwise you're being an oppressive man, right? It's so crazy, and I've grown up inundated with this program. It's taken a lot of self-work for me to reject those things. And again, one of the things that makes a man truly confident and comfortable in his own skin is when he's chosen a life partner and he adds to their life and they add to his life, right? You don't get that from sleeping around. What you get from sleeping around is, again, you have to be a people pleaser. You have to kowtow to all the inane, retarded cultural fascinations and standards, like, you know, basically, because all the single women are also in that program. The more that you are single and rudderless, the more that you have to buy into that program. Otherwise, you can't even deal with people, right? Unless you go to the country, because there's always good people out in the country, right? And so, yeah, that's kind of, I guess, what I'm just trying to bring forward today. If we can create a world of strong men and strong women, the evil will not have a chance to take root in this world. It will not be an option, because people, again, it's the same thing with gun control and the rest of it. We don't want to take away guns. We want as many people who are good, law-abiding, ethical citizens to be armed and carrying CCWs or open carrying. We want as many white blood cells ready to go in this body as possible. We don't want the free radicals. We definitely want to minimize the free radicals. And that occurs when the body itself, the entire system, is electrified. It is filled with that cosmic orgone force. This is not a metaphysical, conversation entirely. This is absolutely a physical conversation. We now know that basically the entire body is an electric circuit. One part affects all of the others. The entire medical system is premised on the body as a machine, a combination of separate components that are all, running their own functions. It's fallacious. The body is a holistic system. It is all connected, just like the Earth and our society and the galaxy and the universe. It's all connected by the ether. And, basically check out the rest of the channel videos for more on all of those topics, for those of you who haven't been around. But that's it, man. Obviously the Epstein thing is a total scam, a total hoax. It's going to blow. Even with him dead, it's going to keep blowing the lid off of all this. So don't be despondent, because guess what? All those non-disclosure agreements that all the victims had to sign with Jeffrey Epstein, well, all of those are now null and void because he's a dead man. And, in a certain sense, we should all rejoice that he is, removed from this world, and his soul will now make its way down to the fiery pit of hell. And, it's all going to keep rolling. This is not, one man and one ring that we're dealing with, except one ring to rule them all, a ring of power. And basically that's my video today. You don't keep your options open. Find a life partner. Stop playing video games. Build your career. There's only one video game that you should be playing as a man over 26, and that's the game of life, right? You should be trying to accrue gold in the real sense, not in the video game. It's meaningless. I understand if you're a young man, you're a boy, you want to blow off some steam. I don't care. After you're 26 and you become a man, not that that's an arbitrary dividing line, but I really feel like any minute spent playing video games after the age of 26, you're basically just you're making yourself into a loser. You are abandoning your potential in exchange for a little virtual titillation from sounds and colors, and that's not what a real man does. And the world and its current state is calling you to rise to a higher level of responsibility. It is up to you to answer the call or not. But I'll tell you what, until we get a significant component, a majority of men in this society answering that call and becoming the divine resonators, becoming the Christ figures and following in that divine lead, it's not going to get better, right? But luckily, that transition is happening. People are waking up. Hashtag dark to light, my brothers. And basically just kind of wanted to bring a little bit of positivity today. I know, again, everybody's still following the Epstein thing and freaking out, but if we can just focus on the metaphysical aspect and bring in that light into this world by being resonators with that divine archetype, everything's going to be fine, and everything that is hidden will be revealed, as Jesus said. So yeah, that's my video today. If you like this message, give the video a thumbs up, share it. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe. Because right now the throttle is pretty much set to maximum on our channel. They want all the flat Earth conspiracy nonsense. As long as it's in the vibration of doom porn. They don't want people coming to channels like this and learning how the universe is all connected in a divine universal structure called called the ether. They don't want people learning all about the, hidden political and spiritual structures that have governed this society for thousands of years, right? And most of all, they don't want people learning these things and still having a good attitude and building families and raising, children that know these truths to be self-evident. And because every day of mine is a mission, every day is a victory. Well, maybe not every day, but most of the days are victories. And even the ones that aren't victories are still victories in the end, because my failures are my ultimate lessons. And the more that I never forget them is the more that I am ever benefited by committing them. So, it's all win-win in this universe, as long as you lose your fear, get up and go, and be a man, and just make it happen. Take the bull by the horns. And anyway, that's my video today. Hope you're all having a great day and a great life, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Ah.